For all you that survived the day after tomorrow.
Joined via Zoom.
Thanks for listening into our latest podcast.
Jordan Grimes, Austin Brown, and Abe Bullman. Abe Bullman's fresh off his flight from good old warm Mexico.
Abe, Ted, me and Cruz is hanging out.
Abe, Ted Bullman, or Ted Cruz Bullman.
Yeah, heck yeah. Me and Teddy Ballgame went down to Mexico and escaped this cold weather.
I'm going to say something that's really controversial. I don't care that he went to Cancun at all.
Yeah.
Cancun.
Let me ask you this.
People nowadays pick something and they just go with it of like, this guy should have been here and he wasn't. Like, what is he going to do? Like, hand out blankets? Like,
yeah, I mean,
anything he can handle on a cell phone from Mexico in his comfort.
Let me ask you this question. Would you rather have Ted Cruz, who went to Cancun for the weekend, flew coach, commercial, by the way, and went to Cancun for the weekend, or would you rather have Cuomo, who is literally responsible for thousands of people's deaths in New York because he was just shoving people into a nursing home? Didn't use half the supplies that he was supposed to use.
Yep. But nobody wants to talk about that.
Yeah.
Who's echoing real bad?
Not me.
I don't know. Anyway. Yeah, and it's not like he went to Epstein Island. He went to Cancun.
Yeah, it was Cancun.
You notice how no one talks about Epstein Island anymore? Like, at all? Like, haven't heard anything about any of that stuff. They were like, we're going to find out who all was on the flights and all that. And it's like, as soon as certain people's names popped up, they're like, now let's talk about
maybe we won't do that. Maybe let's not do that.
Yeah. Maybe it's time for a school shooting.
Exactly. Yeah. Now that all this HR 127's like being pushed hard, I would totally place money on we get a school shooting next quarter.
Yeah, no doubt.
You got to check all the boxes. Make sure the big scary guns look.
We got to make sure everything's real scary so we can push this through.
BNBG. For all you Wire fans out there, you'll get that.
So, I guess we kind of officially started. It's just the normal 4 today. We're just kind of recapping our experience of
Snowvid. Snowageddon.
Yeah, snowpocalypse.
Well, when we left on Thursday, it was starting to ice up and it was cold. And I had some important decisions on what clothing attire I was going to wear. I opted for the Ducks Unlimited pullover, shorts, and a pair of tennis shoes. I was like, I'm just going to deal with the cold weather from the house to the Uber, from the Uber to the airport. And then once I get to the airport, my next stop is sunny 80-degree Cancun. So,
you went for the upper or middle class softball coach look.
Oh yeah.
Hey.
Oh yeah.
I support you.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it.
That was the way to do it. But it was fun, you know. Got there, had a blast.
Since you started that, why don't you run through your week from last Thursday until today, being Sunday the 21st? It was 75 degrees. There's not a trace of snow, and everyone has 5-digit electricity bills.
Yeah. So we got into Cancun, and as usual, it was get off the airplane, go get a beer, get in the car, and get driven over to the resort. And got to the resort, got checked in, and it was awesome. I think even if you get COVID over there and test positive for COVID, you test negative. So they have yet to have one case of COVID come through the resort. So that's kind of one of those like, oh, really? You guys have figured it out, huh? The rest of the world can't. But
they got the stuff for the sheets that kills COVID, man.
Exactly. Now, granted, they are extremely immaculate and they're way over the top with the cleanliness. They're at like 30% capacity, It's only 109 rooms anyways. So
Oh, so there's no one there.
there was like 30 people there.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you just were around the set. Like everybody went to the beach and in the swim up bar in the afternoon, hung out, and then everybody met at dinner. Like was at dinner, and then everybody hung out at the Lapita Lounge, and then everybody went back to their place. It was like you just saw the same people over and over again. So
She'll make some
Yeah.
friends.
Hey, I've been on
Yes.
cruises. I've been on cruises where that's happened. Like, some cruise lines, you have the traditional like cruise dinner where you kind of are assigned a table with some other people, and they usually assign kind of same age bracket and stuff.
Yeah.
I've been on one and got to know some people, ended up partying with them, and it was cool.
Vacation friends.
Yeah.
Dude, it's great. We had some vacation friends.
What?
Ended up. What was that, Jordan?
I said swap wives, no big deal.
You're
on vacation.
No, nothing like that. But it was
Tried it. The wife didn't go for it.
no, that was good. I just wanted to watch TV and
You did on vacation in Mexico. Yeah, I just went to watch TV.
You know what? I will say, I mean, it's a lot different. But back when I was in the tattoo shop, I think I told you guys before, Randy took us all to Vegas, and I hadn't been on like an out-of-town trip where I wasn't on tour, and all I wanted to do was watch Forensic Files and sit in my hotel room.
Really?
Yes. Like, I didn't want to go. I went to the bar once or twice, played a couple slots, but like I wanted to sit in the hotel room and watch Forensic Files and not do shit. It was awesome.
yeah. I hung out. We went to the beach and we got to the swim up bar, but like you can only, it's just I just wanted to relax, and just I didn't watch TV. I was, on the social medias.
You were hammered.
I was
Watching
hammered.
TikTok videos, laughing your ass off by
I was.
yourself.
Watching tons of TikTok videos. TikTok videos and just drinking. Wake up in the morning, order room service. They'll bring you a bottle of champagne with a glass of orange juice, make mimosas. And then by the time you end up eating, there's somebody there's like a guy. So you guys went with the swim up suite, right, Austin?
Yeah, that's the plan.
Good. So there's a guy just runs around at the two big main pools. There's 3 pools, 2 of which are kind of in the center of the resort. And there's a row of suites that sit right next to those. And everything is called a suite at the place. There's no, it's not like it's as cool as it sounds. So by the time we ate breakfast, had a mimosa, here comes Alberto, just like, hey, what do you guys want to drink? And just get whatever you want. And so we got hammered drunk just basically every morning and then go set out by the pool or go to the beach, watch the waves crash, rinse and repeat.
Meanwhile, in Texas.
So you got there. Obviously, you did that for a handful of days. Your flights got canceled. When were you left on Thursday? You said. When were you supposed to have been back?
I was supposed to be home on Tuesday, and basically Monday night, our first flight got canceled. Well, first of all, they called. So like the bellboy calls and is like, "Hey, what time do you want us to come pick up your shit to get your ass out of here?" Right. So I was like, "Well, for whatever reason, I was like, let me look and see." And he was like, "Well, what time's your flight?" And I told him flight, and he was like, "Oh man, that's pretty close. That doesn't seem right." I was like, "Well, let me just look it up." So I looked it up, and American Airlines switched our flight without telling us, like by a solid 4 hours, not from like a 7 o'clock flight to a 6:45 flight, a 7:15 flight to taking off at 3:30. No email, no nothing.
Joke's
Nothing.
on you, nerd.
Yeah. So I was like, holy shit. So I'm scrambling. And then all of a sudden, like as I'm scrambling, I get like because our freaking transport wasn't supposed to pick us up until 3:30. So I'm scrambling, getting in touch with them. Thankfully, they make it super easy. So you should go with USA Transfers because they've got like an app and you can call right through the app and you know, you don't have to worry about dialing or anything like that. And they've got a chat feature and it works really well. So got that moved. While I'm getting it moved, boom, American Airlines is like, your flight has been canceled. So now I'm on the phone. Now I'm on trying to get with American Airlines. I finally get through to them. There were like 41 people in front of me. It took like 3 hours. But so I'm just like on my phone, you know, just sitting in the room watching TV.
While you're doing other things.
I mean, yeah, exactly. But there's not much I can do. I'm just like sitting there, like I'm kind of trapped, right? So
Funny you're talking about this. Your brother just texted me.
yeah.
But continue.
So finally get flights. All right, we're gonna fly out on Wednesday. So now we got to go back to the hotel and be like, hey, we need to get an extra day. So I called out of the front desk. I'm like, hey, I just need to add an extra day. And they're like, oh man, you got to call this reservations desk. We can't actually help you with that. So at this point, I'm already pretty frustrated. I'm like, you can't just extend my day or like one more day.
Like you're 30% capacity. Just bill me.
Yeah, no, it wasn't anything like that. It was just like, we don't have the rates. You have to call the reservation desk. So I call the reservation desk. I'm like, fine. They transfer me to the reservation desk. And I sit on hold and they're like, oh, you are the first person in line and it's 1 minute wait time. I'm like, perfect. So I'm sitting there, minute goes by. You are the second caller and your hold time is 2 minutes. I'm like, okay, well, maybe we called it at the same time and we just caught the weird recording. Then it was like, okay, you are number 2 and your hold time is 6 minutes. Now you're number 1 and your hold time is 2 minutes. Now you're number 2. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then it just disconnects. And I'm like, I lose my shit.
Gringo.
And,
The old classic, just hang up.
yeah. So I go to the front desk and Tracy's just like, be nice, be nice, be nice. And I'm just like, oh, I'm fucking pissed. I walk in, I was like, I need to talk to the manager right now. Oh, what can I help you with? I was like, are you the manager? No. I was like, I want to talk to the manager right now. And the general manager had already talked to us because we had one bad experience with breakfast. And one of the bellboys was like, hey, how's it going? I was like, well, breakfast is kind of shitty this morning. I was kind of in a mood. And he's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry to hear that. I was like, it's not a big deal. It just kind of, I was supposed to get, poached eggs and it was like rock hard. And he was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And I was being a little bitch, right?
No, I get it though. Like once you've had a couple days of things being really right and it goes wrong, it's like, no way.
Yeah. Plus, like, it was like, when like, it's like one thing when like your shit, like you're just at a restaurant and everybody else is enjoying and everybody else is fine and you're the one person that's having a bad experience. Everyone around us is like, what the fuck is going on in this restaurant, right? Like there's a dude, I don't even know him. He's just sitting down there by himself. He's like, this isn't even what I ordered. She's like, oh, well, that's what you said you wanted. And he's like, I told you I wanted a bagel and, just an egg. And you brought me like a waffle and like, it wasn't even like remotely close. And he was just like, I'll just eat it. Just get out of here. You fucking, she was a nightmare. I asked for coffee 3 times. And we just sat there. Like my biggest pet peeve is just drinks, right? Like if food takes a while, food takes a while.
Yeah, keep my drink full, especially all inclusive. Keep me mimosa'd. Like I'll deal with it.
We asked for mimosas and coffee multiple times, and our table just sat with empty glasses for like a while. Like they never got filled again until finally. I had to ask 3 people for coffee before I finally got a pitcher of coffee. Food came. It was cold. It was just a bad experience, and it was the only morning that had happened, right? So it was. But I started my day pissed. So I told this guy about this and he's like, oh my God. So he was taking us around to go get our COVID test. So we went and got our COVID test, came back. And as we're walking back, this like lady so everybody's in a white clothes. This lady's in a gray dress. And she's like, oh, Mr. Bullman. I was like, huh? She's like, I'm Sophia. Now, meanwhile, keep this also in mind. My brother has got there on Saturday now and moments upon his arrival, his wife falls and breaks her foot.
Oh, yeah.
Like intoxicated or what?
No, not even anything like that.
Just fell in a hole or something?
Like, so we got there on Thursday. They were supposed to get there on Saturday. So Thursday night, James is like, I'm kind of feeling sick. Amanda's feeling sick. She's got symptoms. We're going to get COVID tests. We may have COVID. This may be, you guys may be on your own. He's like, I'm sorry. I'm like, well, it's not like you abandoned us at a, lawyer conference or something. We're in freaking paradise, bro. So, there's that whole drama going on. Finally, I like Friday, I was like, hey man, what's the deal? You guys in? You guys are out? And I just don't hear anything. And then I wake up in the middle of the night and my brother has just texted me, Leroy Jenkins, which I interpreted as he's coming. Tracy was like, I don't understand what that means. So then I had to explain to her what Leroy Jenkins was.
Show her the video.
Yeah, show her the video. And so she thought that was funny. And so then they show up Saturday. So we're like talking to them and we're like, they didn't get there until like 4:00. So by this point, we're well on our way to being drunk for the day, right? So we're sitting out on the beach and they're just taking forever. It's like, okay, they've landed. Okay, they're here. Where are they at? Where are they at? And so finally I'm like kind of getting restless. I'm looking around and I'm like, oh, there's James. And he's just like walking, holding his hobbling wife. And she's like trying to power through. And she's like, I fell. It's like at this, like, there's like a plunge pool that they had at their room because they had a casita. And she like got into the plunge pool, was like, oh, this is so nice. I'm talking about like moments, like 20 minutes upon their arrival to the resort. Walks into this plunge pool, starts to get out, and there's like wooden steps to come down, hits those wooden steps, boom, slips, falls, like busts her wrist up real bad, busts up her back, breaks her foot. So she's like, well, we're just going to try to get through it. I was like, with a broken foot. It's not like her foot was all like Dak Prescott out, right? It wasn't like nasty. It was just like she had a big bump on it, right? On the like the side of her foot. And so that whole thing went down. And so we're like, oh, Jesus. And she's powering through and, we start drinking. We go out to dinner that night. She's like, I got to go to bed. I'm tired. And Tracy and I leave that next morning, have breakfast, and then go get our COVID test. We come back and there's a fucking ambulance in the little part that you walk in and out of. And we're like, oh, there's James and Amanda. I guess it's bad. So they get to go.
Okay, let me pause this. You get a COVID test like every day or what?
No, you get it 3 days before you leave. So they got there Saturday. Sunday was 3 days before we were leaving. We were leaving on Tuesday.
Yeah, that makes sense. Continue.
So Sunday morning, we went and got our COVID test, afternoon, kind of middle afternoon, what time. And so by the time we got back, we ate breakfast, the shitty breakfast that started this story, right? We leave. As we're leaving, I tell the guy, hey, we had a shitty breakfast or whatnot. We come back. There's an ambulance. My brother and Amanda are being taken. They're like, hey, they're going to take him to a doctor to get an X-ray on her foot. So we're like, oh man, that sucks. Have fun. We'll be on the beach, exactly. Like, we can't do anything, So they leave and we're walking to our room. And that's when the general manager's like, oh, Mr. Bullman. So if we're aware of the Bullmans at this resort, we're like 30% of the people that are there, So she's like, I understand you had a bad breakfast this morning. We're extremely sorry. Thank you for letting us know. Please accept our apologies. Like, what can we do to make this right? I was like, look, I'm not looking for something for free. It was just like, she was like, she wasn't a very good waitress at all. She didn't seem to care what was going on either. I was like, it's one-time thing. It's not that big of a deal. She's like, oh, well, thank you very much for bringing it up. If there's anything we can do for you, please let us know. So fast forward to Monday night. I walked down to the hotel after being hung up on by this reservations desk. And I'm like, I want to talk to the manager right now. It's like 5:30 at night, 5:36, right? So it's not like the middle of the afternoon. And I'm like, I need to talk to the manager. The guy's like, Mr. Bullman, what can I help you with? I'm like, no. I want the manager. And so I look over and she's got her backpack on and is like walking out the door. She just takes her backpack off and is like, hold on, Mr. Bullman, give me 1 second. I'll be right back. So I'm telling her and she's like, okay, hold on. We'll take care of this for you. So she gets one of her underlings and is like, you get on the phone with the reservation desk and we're gonna figure this out for you. And you just sit right here and we'll take care of it for you. So they took care of it, got us an extra room. That's a couple extra $100,
They made you move to a new room?
No. That was the thing. We were like, please don't make us move to a new room. They're like, we're not going to make you move to a new room. You just have to go through this reservation desk to get the rate. And she's like, we'll figure it out. So they figured it out. They did it. And I got a new room. So we were like, all right, cool. We're leaving on Wednesday. So Wednesday morning, we wake up. Immediately upon us waking up and checking our phones, flights canceled on Wednesday too. And now we're like, okay, we're stuck. So Tracy's like, well, maybe we should move to a cheaper hotel because obviously all inclusive, it's expensive per night. It's $400 or something a night for us to be there, so it's not cheap. So it's like, well, let's move. And I was like, okay, here's the deal. We're gonna move to another hotel in Cancun that we don't know about. Have to feed ourselves, have to travel, all these things are going to pile together. So what are we going to do? Yeah, maybe we save ourselves some money, but like what?
And how
$100.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why like $400 a night for all inclusive, even $500 for a couple.
Yeah,
is pennies.
Yeah.
If you drink and eat and hang out and do stuff, nothing.
Yeah, and that's why I was like, when we broke it down like that, it was like, no, let's just stay here. So we're like, well, we'll just see here and then we're looking at the weather, obviously, and you guys are in fucking the North Pole,
Zero.
So we're like, man, I don't even know. So now it's Wednesday, so it's like Thursday is our next flight out. We're like, I don't even know if Thursday's gonna make it. Like Friday seems like the most sensible day that we're gonna get back. So Thursday, everything was on. It stayed on. And we got back, and it was like flying into Russia. It was the craziest thing to fly back into. I guess Monday, I forgot to talk about the fishing trip that I went on. So I like stole my brother to go on a guided fishing trip, a flats fishing trip, and that was a lot of fun. We get picked up at like 6:30 in the morning. This little Mexican dude in a Ford Ranger, and he speaks no English. And one of the reasons that I wanted to go on this is because they were like, all of our guides speak English. Now, I guess technically he spoke English. He just didn't speak very much of it. So I was just like, hey, is there like just like simple things like, how long have you been a guide? Oh, yes. And you're like, he's like, oh, no, 8 hours. And I'm like, no, not how long are we going out? Like, how long have you been a guy? Just make a conversation with this dude, right? Because we're in the car going to the marina. We got down to this, like, turns off to this dirt road. And I was just like, oh, well, this is where we die, James. This has
been fun.
Get us. And I'm telling you, there were potholes like I've never seen. Like, it was like rock climbing. Like, we would drive down into these potholes, and then he'd climb back out of them in his Ford Ranger. It was
like Costa Rica.
Oh, yeah.
It was,
just like,
man. That's
what
terrible.
the hell?
Costa Rica roads are so bad.
I was like, what in the world? So we finally get there and goes out and just, I get up on the front of the boat the first chant, and I've got, my rod and everything, fly rod and everything. And he's just like, his only advice to us on catching tarpon was cast towards the bubbles. I'm like, okay. So like, not, hey, that's what it looks like. It was just, yeah, tarpon, cast bubbles. I'm just like, okay. So we're like, he's push pulling us, and like I see like just like fish, not like pop out of the water like they do, like a bass would do, but just like it's like they're like, I guess, mouth is catching on the top, or they're rolling, and it's just creating bubbles in the water. And so I cast over to the bubbles, and of course, like just completely different. Wind is blowing. I cast a couple times and I fucking hang. It was the hang up show the entire time, like getting caught in the mangroves and, just trying to get unstuck. But I get in, I get a couple casts in there to it, and I boom, it smacks. You could see it come up off the surface, and, I just kind of strip set, and it just boom, and it immediately just, there was nothing on the hook. So I had that happen 5 times, and that was the only action we got. But even though we didn't catch any fish, it was still one of the coolest fishing trips I've ever been on, just to be in a place like, it was insane. This like mangrove, we got some video that we'll share on social media so everybody can see this.
Yeah, he did send me a bunch, actually.
Yeah. And it's
the mangrove stuff is cool, man.
dude, this was like a mangrove jungle. We're like cruising through. He takes us over across this bay and then back into this mangrove jungle, and we're cruising through this like little, like looks like a little river type thing. And James is like, dude, there's a boa. We see this like probably 6, 7 foot boa constrictor just sitting out on this. I was just like, holy shit.
That's a baby one.
What's that?
It's a baby one.
Yeah, I know, but it was still just like, holy shit, that's a big ass snake, you know? And just had a hard time catching fish, and but it was beautiful. And then they took us down to the like the entrance of this big bay to the point of Isla Blanca, and I'm talking the clearest water I've ever seen in my life. Like 20 feet of water, and you're just looking completely to the bottom with zero cloud or color. It just crystal clear water. And then just over out in this other section, just this traditional like blue Caribbean water that you're used to seeing. Saw about 30 million sardines. I'm up on the front of the boat and I'm just like, oh my God, there's just a cloud of bait fish up underneath the boat moving around. And I was like, there's got to be some big fish over here with all these bait fish. And there was nothing. It was just a bad day.
I knew you said the guide was pretty cheap, but you had to bring your own gear.
No, he had his own fly rod and spinning rod. I just brought my own because I'll go out and I'll just go to the beach. Tracy works out and I'll go to the beach and I'll just cast out and just, see what I can catch out right off the flats there.
Yeah, because that's my plan, is take a rod with me and just wade around.
Yeah, it's awesome. It was a ton of fun, and got back, and thankfully her parents were here, so the dogs were fine, and they were without power for a couple of days, and we'll get into obviously no power stories, but the only damage we had to the house was just the swimming pool got a busted pipe, but there wasn't that much damage to that really because the water froze, so there's no water being pumped through it. Otherwise, it could have pumped the whole pool out into my fucking neighbor's yard, which would have sucked, or at least it would have pumped to the point where it couldn't suck any more water in.
Yeah, right. You were just a couple of skimmers.
Yeah, which still to do that much water would have been a lot, so.
That's what a lot of people did I've been seeing who didn't get any pool damage. They immediately dumped their pools to below skimmers, emptied their equipment, and they were good.
Yeah. I just cut the power to it because it was just running, and I was just like, no, that's no business running. So it's got the freeze guard on it. But outside of that, it was fairly fun, dude. Got a little bit of sunburn, nothing too much, but beautiful way to spend this hell that you guys had to endure as I'm sitting on the beach in shorts and drinking banana coladas.
What? So tell no power story.
I didn't have no power.
Oh, I mean, you said they didn't have power for a couple days, but they were good.
Yeah, they didn't have power for, I think, probably 13 hours, 12 hours, no power.
Ain't bad.
No, we got pretty lucky here. So it was like 2 days. I mean, it got cold, and then, that's just, I just think about not having power and means you don't have internet. And you're just kind of like,
oh my gosh!
What do you do with your?
I couldn't watch TV.
I can't watch TV. I can't look at TikTok.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, so
Abe.
That was fun. Me and Ted Cruz wouldn't hung out on the beach together.
Well, no, Jordan had probably the most no power issues. Jared and Stephanie had it on and off, but Jordan, do you want to tell all your stories next?
What was your escapade like?
I mean, we were pretty bad here in my neighborhood. I live down in Arlington, and we're at work. What was the start of this? Thursday night?
Thursday night, yeah.
So Thursday I was at work, and my boss came to me and was like, you wake up in the morning and you don't feel safe coming in, just stay home. He was like, you make your own call. We're cool with whatever.
Yeah, whatever you need to do.
And then we were watching the weather during work, and he called us again and was like, hey, never mind. Just don't worry about coming in. We'll close the shop. Not a big deal. you guys go home, be with the family, and we'll call you on Sunday. And because it's supposed to get bad again, we'll see what the weekend was like and all that. So I was like, okay, whatever. So we went home, and started getting cold or whatever. We had power, everything was fine. I woke up the next morning, and it was cold, but everything was fine. I was like, man, I kind of feel bad not going to work. But they told us, don't worry about it, just be home. So over the weekend, it started getting kind of bad, and then most of the weekend we were fine. It just got cold. We're used to cold, no big deal. And then once Sunday night hit, we were sitting there, and the power just drops out. Boom, no power. And we're pretty prepared for it. The good thing about being an outdoor family and stuff like that is you kind of have things to live without power. It's not a big deal. It's kind of boring sitting at the house. So we bundled up. We have a bunch of, Whitney's great grandmother used to make blankets and quilts and stuff for us and give them to us as gifts. And they're all thermal insulated, badass, thick, old school quilts. So we just kind of bundled up with those and, spent the one night without power. It wasn't that big of a deal. And then next day, still no power. We running water through all of our faucets. Because I don't know if most people don't understand this. I know people like to give crap to Texans when it gets cold, but like our houses aren't built for this. Our insulation's way different. Our pipes are, we don't bury them, but like three foot under the ground at the most.
Very most. The very most.
Nothing's insulated like you normally would expect it to. So, running water, all that stuff. We had a neighbor that lives only a couple streets over. He had no power either at his house, and they're not an outdoor family like us, so they really didn't have much. So we invited them over to our place. They stayed with us, and basically the first night when it got super cold, they decided they were going to tough it out at their house and try for some stuff. And sorry, I had to look at that picture. But that first night, it got, I don't even know what the actual final temperature was. What was it, 2?
Oh, yeah, it was single digits.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Up here, it got 0 or below both nights. We're a little further north than y'all.
I felt like once it hit a certain degree and it started getting worse, it was like, I can't tell the difference right now. This is just painful,
Well, and after all day, it stayed cold all day. Like it never really warmed up that much. I think we got to like 13 during the day.
Right.
So the house is just getting colder and colder. And the funny thing is Grinch called me and was like, hey, y'all, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, well, they're in my camper, which is down in South Texas right now. Like a lot of my camping gear, like my heaters and stuff like that, we're in my trailer down in South Texas because we took that down there a while ago. And actually that weekend, last weekend, we were supposed to go down and pick the trailer up. But since the roads were supposed to get really crappy on Sunday, we decided, hey, we don't need to be traveling all across Texas in this.
Dude, what luck though to have that thing, not be at your house.
Yeah, I mean, like it.
Is it warmer down there than it was here? I'm sure.
No,
no, it was bad down there, man.
My buddy,
have you not seen the fish kill?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Matagorda Bay froze.
Yeah.
My buddy in Austin, his pool in his backyard froze.
Yeah.
It was terrible everywhere.
But continue, Jordan.
So that first night, our neighbors, like I said, they came over during the day because we had a lot more stuff like firewood and all that, and we were a little warmer at our place than they were. And they went home. Well, we put my daughter in her room, my 9-year-old in her room, and it just kept on getting colder and colder during the night. And we decided that we're like, you know what? I'd rather the kid be in our room because, you know, being in one bed saves warmth, all that stuff. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to be like morbid or whatever. With the cold it was, I don't want to wake up to like a frozen kid, you know, like
That
Yeah.
happened.
that'd be pretty bad.
That
So we went
happened.
and got her, threw her in the bed with us, got blankets on there. The dogs, they slept in bed with us that night. They normally don't. They normally are kenneled, but they were so cold, man. Like my GSP was so cold, it like didn't like move. Like it was
His
half the
fuel
speed of
line's
nor-
jellied.
Yeah, she was like she had no energy because it was so cold. She laid in my lap most of the weekend and laid on me at night to sleep, which was fantastic. They loved the snow. They weren't like they weren't like not against the cold. They were just kind of like, you know, if we're inside, we're gonna be chill because it's cold. You send them outside in the snow. They loved it, but so that first night it was pretty crowded in the bed with all the dogs and everything. And then after that, like still didn't have power the next day. Went probably 2 days without power at all. We got power back the next day for a little while, then it cut out again. And we went through one more night with no power. And the next day it came on and we continued having power. We opened our house up, like I said, to our neighbors. They came over and stayed in our guest bedroom. They didn't have power for like, I think they finally got power back. They lost it on Sunday and it came back on like Thursday on their house. Luckily they didn't have a broken pipe.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was their house was their whole block was no power. It was
Yeah.
crazy because like y'all know us, we have like my street has like 6 houses on it, right? Well, the street that tees into my street, they didn't have power. And then the neighborhood across the way from us didn't have power, which where they were from. But our 6 houses did have power, like when we finally got it. And then like the whole time, like the internet never came back for a long time. So like, you know, my wife works right now from home, so she couldn't even work her job because there was no internet. We had power, no internet. And but all in all, it wasn't that bad. I mean, it was cold. But we ran out of wood for a little bit. And what I liked about all this stuff is the fact of how much, you know, people actually cared about one another.
Coming together
You know
to
what I
help
mean?
out.
Like, and I normally don't get sappy with this kind of shit, but people were posting up things like, hey, we have tons of firewood. You know, like we had a contractor friend in North Fort Worth that was posted up on Facebook that was like $60, like whatever, like a truckload of firewood. If you can get a truck over here, we will literally load your whole back of your truck up with, you know, for $60, you know. And you know, then people helping other people out, you know, on the snow, all that stuff. The worst thing that happened to me the worst thing that happened to me was we talked about today. I went outside and I have a coolant leak on my truck.
Get out of my room. Did you not put the no girls allowed sign on?
I mean, the door's closed. She should know better.
You should just have them
Put a
live.
sock on. Did you put a sock on the doorknob?
No, I need to
Get
put a tie.
get the Big Daddy live nudes. Put that outside.
All right.
But other than that, man, like I mean, it was bad. It was bad for us, but not as bad as most people had it. I mean, there was people with busted pipes. I mean, like right now, the meme right now that's killing me is like the plumbers in like gold chains, like Mr. T. Oh man, they're gonna be making it big. The guy that stayed with us, his mom had a busted pipe in her house. I went over and helped him figure out her stuff, get the water cut off and mop all that up and try to figure it out. But it was in her wall behind the bricks where it busted. So obviously, like, what am I going to do with, you know, middle of all this cold. So we shut her water off, took her back to his place when he finally got power. But like, she called plumbers and they were like, yeah, we're not even going to take you. We're so far behind already. Like,
Yeah, it's gonna be a month or
in.
so.
Like the big name companies, like the what do you call it, like franchise style companies and stuff like that are in every city. They were like, we'll take your name and number, and once we get around to you, we'll give you a call. We'll call you.
Yep.
So that's how many people right now. When so the other funny thing was I guess my buddy's mom, one of her neighbors told her that she couldn't cut her own water off. They were having them call 911 first, so they keep track of people that had busted pipes and like where problems were with the water and all that stuff. So the fire truck showed up to cut the water off at her house. When we got there, we were like, we could do this. She was like, they told me this, whatever. I talked to the fire fighters, and they were like, dude, we're encouraging so many people to try to cut their own water off. Like, he's like, elderly people and like people that don't sound like they know what they're doing will come help. But he's like, we're so far behind. Like,
Yeah,
we're
it's
just
a
driving
huge
through.
waste of resources.
Yeah. Well,
Like to turn a valve. I mean, there's definitely situations, like you said, elderly and this and that. But like, oh my gosh, find a neighbor. I bet one of your neighbors knows.
YouTube.
oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
You know, like that was just, that was one of those things. Was like asking them. They're like, dude, there's so many problems. There's so many houses without water now. Like busted pipes everywhere. Like people flooding out of their houses. Like it's like I said, it's not as simple as like, oh, it was kind of cold, we didn't have power. Like we could muscle through that, but once pipes start busting, and like I couldn't start my truck the other day because the diesel, because we have normal diesel, we don't mix with kerosene here because we're not used to this kind of weather. So my diesel literally turned to jelly, and I couldn't start my truck because the diesel was literally jelly in my truck.
Yep.
Then I
Holy
blew up.
shit.
Yeah,
Jelly?
20 degrees, diesel turns to jelly, basically.
Yeah, and we were below 20 for like 3 days.
Yeah.
Dennis Quaid tried to warn us back in the day.
Mm.
No one wanted to listen to him. Dennis Quaid, man.
Dennis Quaid. I'm a
His son,
Randy
Jake
fan
Gyllenhaal,
myself.
is a genius.
Jizza the Genius?
Jake Gyllenhaal is a genius. You shouldn't. Oh. Has no one seen The Day After Tomorrow?
I have,
Yeah.
but not like recently.
That's what happened, dude.
I made a reference of it earlier.
Every movie that's ever existed.
It seems so.
And I'm the one that gets yelled at for like watching TV.
Because you go dark for like 3 days. Like, sorry guys, I was watching TV. Like, you haven't answered a text or a phone call in 72 hours. So it's one thing to be like, sorry guys, I was watching a movie for the last couple hours. But to go dark for 72 hours, which actually happened.
Sorry,
That's what you
partying.
get.
Sorry for partying. Just watching TV, eating Doritos.
Well,
Yeah.
and there's also
bad and sassy.
Uber Eats on a constant rotation, just every 3 hours, something shows up.
And there's also like a complete difference between like someone that works in a tattoo shop where you have to be in at noon to midnight, even on like a Wednesday, normal Wednesday where no one comes to the tattoo shop. What do? Sit there and watch movies, to someone that's like, I had nothing better to do. So I literally for 6 days sat in my room in my own filth and watched TV.
Or that person switches to an office job where they don't really do any work past 10 a.m. So they watch a lot of movies and movies and TV.
Oh my God.
This is my life.
With the opposite of someone that goes to Mexico and they could sit on the beach and read a book or, like,
but he just
hang
wants
out,
to get drunk and watch
do cool
TV.
stuff. They rather watch TV in their
Fucking
bungalow.
Read what you're reading for.
What you're eating for?
You've all heard that Bill Burr bit, right?
Oh yeah, what you
I was sitting
reading
in the
for?
Waffle House, and the waitress asked me, "What you reading for?" Not "What are you reading?" or anything of that sort. Why are you reading?
What you reading for? My favorite Bill Burr is when he's talking about dumping water on the kid's head. He's just like, I don't know why this kid thinks he can like tell me something that I haven't seen. I watched a stripper quit on stage 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Anyways, back to the
Well,
snow
Jordan,
hell.
we're glad you don't have any busted pipes or busted family members. I mean,
Yeah.
all's well that ends well, right?
Yeah, man. Like, all in all, we kind of pulled through it. Not looking forward to doing the repairs on the coolant system of the truck, but whatever.
Yeah.
Shit happens, right?
Yep.
Well,
What about you guys?
Y'all want to Rochambeau who goes next?
Fight.
we're having a face-off, or his internet's frozen.
Yeah. I thought both of y'all froze up. I was jump both freeze at the same time.
That would have been awesome.
I'll tell you the tale of the
I'll tell you the tale of the time that it froze.
Arr. I mean, I was at home and the power went out Sunday, and so we went to her parents and they had power all week. It really wasn't that bad for us. My faucet in the bathroom, the guest bathroom, froze up, even though we had it dripping. So when power came back on, finally, I just put a space heater in there, and then like 2 hours later, the faucet was working. Yeah.
No leaks. You walked around the house. Everything looked good.
The first night that we didn't get snow or anything, but it was below freezing, the sprinkler system burst. I text you guys that one.
Yeah.
And I shut that off, and I don't think they're even going to mess with it till, we have these consistent like 70-degree days. But,
that's low priority.
Yeah,
that's the beauty of us renting this house, is I don't have to deal with any of these problems.
And I mean, even like I can say I have 2 busted sprinkler heads I found at the end of the summer.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't worried about it. Spring's gonna be rainy like it always is. I got a few months to figure this out.
Well, that snow melted, watered it for a good long time.
For sure.
But like my brother, they're in Mansfield. He had a pipe burst in their upstairs shower. He already fixed that. And then my mom's apartment, she had to come stay here for a night. The maintenance guy came to her place, busted out some drywall, said the leak wasn't in her apartment, but it's someone else's apartment that was leaking into hers. So they shut off the water. Or this is her recounting the story, And then she got a call from her property manager that someone else in the building had a major burst. And so they shut down the water, I guess, to the entire building that everyone was in, or the apartments in or whatever. And they had no ETA on getting things repaired, which was crazy to me. But I mean, I would assume, I was talking about it with Steph, because she does, like her, property management and real estate stuff. They have like 4 different companies for like restoration services because they need that many backups. Yeah. And so I'm thinking with this company, like it's an apartment complex, and her apartment complex are the kinds that like some of the buildings have like businesses on the first floor.
Oh, so it should be priority 1.
So I would think that they have multiple restoration services available. And she's like, oh yeah, they didn't really have an ETA on it. And so she's at a hotel right now that's like down the street from her apartment, but that just baffled me. Her apartment building, I think, got off pretty well. There's a bank at her building that said they had some leaking through some of their light fixtures, and the engineer on the property checked it out, and it wasn't like a burst pipe. It was just some kind of issue with ice and snow draining off of the roof for some reason.
The flashing was bad on somewhere.
Yep.
Yeah. But I mean, other than that, we lucked out pretty good. Her parents live 5 minutes down the road, and the truck's got 4-wheel drive. So, I mean, I made multiple trips back and forth to come check on the house and go back over there and work. And, we had heat and food, and bourbon. So
What else do you need, right?
So
I had
did
honey
you?
buns.
I know you said you got like a refrigerator line freeze, and I mean it's clearly
yeah,
thawing
yeah.
out, and you see no leaks inside. Everything's good.
Unscathed, my friend. We're solid. I think the only thing that I want to have looked at is the toilet. I think the wax rings out on the guest bathroom toilet. That has nothing to do with the freeze, but there was water around the bottom of the toilet, but it wasn't like coming out, but there was water, like just a small accumulation. So I've kept an eye
That ain't a
out.
wax ring.
No, you think it's maybe a crack?
Heck, okay, I'll say this: Lauren's dad, their kitchen sink froze. So did ours, and I'll get into that. The valve body, the shut off under the sink, seems to have fractured a tiny bit. It was dripping, so you might check your valve body.
How old is the toilet?
They put it. You can tell they put it in when they did the remodel on this house before we moved in.
Okay, so it's pretty new.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say I just had to replace the toilet because ours was going bad, and like even like the bolts up underneath the bottom of the tank were rusted and dripping,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where.
No, you can tell. Like I'm used to, and people do it differently, but I'm used to seeing like silicone or something around the base of the toilet,
Yeah,
and they didn't have any on there, and so just around where you'd see silicone, and again, there wasn't that much water, but it was just water on one side of the toilet.
have you seen it since?
I didn't really notice it today. I mopped the house today. I didn't notice anything.
Hmm.
I don't know. That's the only thing.
It could have been honestly like those cold pipes. Once you got heated back up, could have been some condensation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or something could have froze and just maybe it melted. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's all good. I know that we're not going to use our fireplace anymore. I've got to get the flue looked at and get it cleaned because we lit a fire one night. We had no power, and after a while, we could tell that almost the whole living room and the hallway were full of smoke.
Yeah, find you that chimney sweep, son.
Yeah. We
Call your landlord and have them do it, obviously.
We tried that one already.
He said,
Steph asked him about it, and he just said, "I don't know," and that was the last thing he said about it.
What did she ask? It shouldn't have been a question. It should have been like, the fireplace is filling the house up with smoke. Call someone. There's not a question involved in my mind you.
I couldn't say exactly what was said.
Because she probably asked, "Hey, do you know if anything's wrong with the fireplace?" And he's going to say, "I don't know." Because if I had a rental property and somebody asked me that question, I would say the same thing. I don't know.
New phone, who this?
Yeah. So
I can tell you though, with 100% confidence, that the Walmart brand honey buns are not as good as the Hostess ones.
Yeah, great value. It's like, it would put another sense. When COVID started and I was running around my house with guns and stuff, that was great value John Wick. Like, it's the same idea.
They were okay. They did the job, but just not as good as it could have been done.
No.
"Whoa,
No.
But yeah, that's all I got.
Neat.
What it wasn't quite eventful for me like it had been for other folks.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
best kind of apocalypse, right?"
So it wasn't eventful for us really at all. I kind of thought it would be a problem based just looking at the forecasted temperatures. Like, we see cold, but we didn't see this kind of cold. So Friday, I ran and got all my propane tanks filled all my gas tanks and boat tanks, and start up the generator, make sure everything was square there, and we just went about our lives. When power cut out, we kicked on the generator, and we have propane heater from the lease, and we sat in the living room, and that was fine. Got cold. Second day had no power. It was on and off, I guess. we realized upstairs, like our house is like one single big room upstairs. We realized that it was much more efficient to heat that. So we dragged the propane heater up here. We ran a cord up here. We plugged up all our media gear. So we kind of set up here 65, 66 degrees, pretty normal temperatures, and watched movies. We ran a cord over to our neighbor's house so they could charge phones and make coffee. A couple third day of power. Need to do dishes, plugged up the dishwasher, garbage disposal, whatever. Did dishes. I don't know. Like we were very fortunate. Our kitchen sink did freeze. I took that propane heater outside and just cooked the bricks, and then put a space heater inside and thawed that pipe. Nothing happened. I figured out though that our hose spigot outside is a common line with that cold, so I think that's what did it. And I even went and bought a roll of insulation, wrapped our spigots and capped them, and our standpipe for our sprinkler system, wrapped that in insulation, then towels, and then put a 5-gallon bucket over it. So, kind of covered all the bases. Then we noticed second or third day again, our upstairs hot water pipe froze. I didn't leave it dripping. Didn't really think about that.
But it's hot water.
Yeah, because it's hot water, and I didn't think about hot water gets cold quickly, but whatever, my fault. Got that heated up really quickly with a hairdryer and a space heater, and just heated that pipe backwards from the cutoff valve, and I see no issues. We have no leaks. So yeah, kind of uneventful for us too. It was kind of like a weekend at the deer lease, running a generator. The cure egg and other things draw a lot of power, so you run one thing at a time, and then you just balance your wattage. And and neighbors, we would text like, "Hey, let us know where you make coffee," and so we'd unplug our stuff. They'd make coffee. Everybody would be plugged back in. Ran around the neighborhood in the side by side. That was kind of fun. Doing donuts, hanging out. Took generator over to Lauren's parents, let them kick on their tankless water heater so they could shower and warm up pipes. They got their kitchen sink froze too. We got that thawed. Did a
Sounds
bunch.
like you were a pretty clutch son-in-law.
Yeah, I mean, just man, it kind of got bored. I like tasks, and we were pretty prepared. Like I said, 60 pounds of propane, 25 gallons of gas, and 50 gallons of water. Like, wasn't a huge deal to us. Just keeping tabs on pipes and people, and did a bunch of cooking. We had family dinners like 4 nights in a row. We're just kind of cooked. Luckily, we all have gas, so you can light it by hand. And I kept a pot of water boiling sometimes, try to heat the house a little more, and we're just simmering, I should say. And man, we cooked, did a bunch of cooking. We all got together for dinner, and power was in and out, but it was I hate to say it was fun, but we were none the worse for the wear. We hung out with family. We took care of things that we could for other people. All I want to do now is buy a little bit bigger generator so I can, run to other neighbors and have a bigger one with the lease and all that. It's got kind of lucky that I bought this thing a handful of years ago when we had a big outage in Carrollton for all our freezers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we knew we needed it. Looking to get on the lease we're on now because we were running it out there, but really, really paid off in this situation. Really fortunate. My story is kind of lackluster.
Yeah, but we were talking before this, and you brought up freezers again. You want to talk about what we're talking about freezers?
Oh, it was interesting to me how many, like being on social media and stuff, and neighbor came over and said, "Hey man, I know you have like quite a few coolers from hunting. Can I borrow a cooler?" I said, "Yeah, you're more than welcome." What for? Well, our refrigerator's getting warm. I said, "You do realize your garage is about
The same temperature, if not colder.
35 degrees." And it's funny because I set a bottle of water right outside our garage door in the garage, so I kind of keep tabs on temperature out there. And I left that sink dripping hot and cold the whole time, and it never froze. But that bottle of water in the garage never froze. So I kind of said, like, you can just chuck your fridge stuff outside and your freezer stuff, or your fridge stuff in the garage, your freezer stuff outside, and probably be okay. And like, oh yeah, for sure. I didn't think about that. Like, all right. But seeing all these people on Instagram and all this, like, well, all my food's bad now. Thanks, Ted Cruz, for going to Cancun. Like, all right, well, maybe you also posted a picture of your balcony covered in snow.
Yeah.
Set all your
right?
yeah, like you realize snow's pretty cold. Like,
I don't know if you realize what we're doing out here. It's
I don't
freezing.
Like,
I know this is going to sound weird, but they took the name freezer because
from the outside,
freezing cold.
Yeah.
Wasn't some sort of a concept they figured out in Yale.
It wasn't like the word synergy that's just made up.
Yeah.
So yeah, all these people like, all my food's bad, but your pipes are also frozen. So what happened here? Where was the disconnect in your logic?
Yeah.
Like, I feel bad. I'm not trying to like be rude about this. Just, I don't know. This was a very, very big awakening, I hope, for a lot of people, of like general self-sufficiency and preparedness.
Oh yeah.
I kind of thought, like I said, I grabbed a bunch of propane, bunch of gas. We're lucky to have a generator because we have a use for it in general. But I had this generator before we needed one on a normal weekend.
Yeah.
But just to me, like, okay, so all of you, and there's a lot of exceptions, I understand that, of people are just like, who may not be able to be this self-sufficient, but there's a whole lot of people who are very, very able to.
Yeah.
But if all of you can be pretty self-sufficient, you can help out other people.
Yeah,
we text neighbors like, hey, y'all want some power? Like, what?
I did notice
yeah,
that.
man, we got a little generator. It ain't a
One
lot.
of our drives, or one of my drives the other day, I saw an extension cable running across the street in some neighborhood I was in. I was like, oh, someone's being a really cool neighbor right now.
Oh,
and
that makes me think of something.
Steph's
We did
parents,
realize that we did realize this too. Our grid up here in Trophy Club Roanoke area, our grid splits on our street. Across the neighbor, the other side of our street, everyone across the street from us never lost power one time. But everybody on our side out for on and off.
Well, that's good, because those neighbors that directly across me, I know that's an elderly couple over there.
Very. And, once I found that out, I wasn't concerned. And I was actually texting with the guy who used to own our house, because he's a big hunter and fisherman. So him and I still keep up, which I think is super cool. So they were good. But he asked how they were. And I said, man, they never lost power. He asked how neighbors on either side were. I said, one set we ran power to, the other set, we haven't really talked to them much. And it's funny that he said that, because day before yesterday, was outside, and guys, I was like, hey man, he walked out and I was like, hey, how you doing? Said, yeah, we're doing pretty good. Because right as I pulled up from run some errands, this after I talked to you, Jordan, there was an Atmos Energy gas company truck sitting out front of our house. I was like, oh, awesome.
Oh yeah.
And it's funny because when I left, a fire truck was rolling through the neighborhood. So I get back a little while later, Atmos truck's there, no fire truck, but he said, man, I walked in the house, whole house smells like gas. I was like, oh no. So they all showed up. I guess it's a leak. They killed the gas. And he even said, he's like, hey man, sorry, we haven't really talked much or met. He said, me and my wife both have health issues, so the coronavirus thing kind of is a big deal to us. I said, you owe me no apology whatsoever. We clearly moved in during a weird time. I said, here's my cell phone number. You need anything? So, kind of got to chat with him a little bit and put together, a little more 2 + 2 of like, yeah, everybody else around the neighborhood kind of came wandering to our house when we moved in, because
Chaos brings people together, man. Chaos brings people together.
So got to know that guy, took care of the other neighbors, the elderly couple across the street. They never lost power. They were good. So yeah, it was my big agave plant out front looks real rough. I've still got hope it's going to be back. Those things apparently are pretty bulletproof. but we'll see. All the snow's melted off the boat. I cranked that motor over today. I mean, first turn, boom, dumped a bunch of smoke, but whatever.
Dude, speaking of boats,
God,
that Prodigy Bay boat that you sent a thing about.
it's
I've
ridiculous.
I've been fantasizing about that damn boat this whole time.
Sell your truck. You don't need a truck.
Yeah, fuck that.
Are
That
you
needs
tying
much work
flies right
anyways.
now, Abe?
Yes. Yes, he is.
That is cute.
So was Jordan.
Yeah, so is Jordan.
I see his hands in his pockets, and so
Now.
who knows
Now.
what he's tying right now. Neat.
Nice.
That's a giant fly.
Ever
It's not
since
really.
I got rid of Instagram,
Oh, that's multiple.
I've been playing this cool game
Yeah.
where I've got to match all the liquids. It's pretty cool.
what are you
Little,
doing?
little worm.
Dude,
Oh,
I
yeah,
like your
dude.
little worm. Your little worm.
That would have been
Worm
great for
flies.
Broken Bow this weekend.
We'll use those in Broken Bow. We're
Yeah,
gonna
I
reschedule that.
tie him for Broken Bow.
I'm looking now,
This
dude.
guy, this is my panfish little. That's mallard wing pocket feathers on the back of that motherfucker.
Nice.
Yeah, dude.
I
Let's go
like it.
Arkansas
I like
this
the one
weekend.
you gave to me.
What is that? Is that like a piece of old Greg's hair?
This is.
You ever
I'm
drink
old,
Bailey's from a
Greg.
shoe?
I lost
Flash,
one.
man.
I bet Abe doesn't know that reference.
What?
Old Greg.
It's
Tell me
attached to your rod, mother licker.
Tell me the thing again.
Do you love me?
Do you love me?
Could you learn to love me?
You ever drink Bailey's from a shoe?
I think that's from Daytona Nights.
Daytona Nights.
Look it up.
What? Look it up. No, it's from Old Greg.
Yeah. Yeah, be cool.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm interested in seeing these movie titles that you guys have suggested.
That's
Old
not a
Craig's not
movie.
even a movie.
That's not a
It's,
movie
just-
title.
it's from the Mighty Boosh. It's from a TV show.
Mighty Boosh.
God.
Well,
Well, yeah.
well,
I
all
think
right.
That
Glad
brings
everybody's
it pretty
safe.
much full circle on the last
What are you?
7 days.
What are you doing? Are you pouring whiskey, Austin?
Me? No, I was actually turning off the Zoom recorder since we couldn't get it to work.
You couldn't get it to work.
No, it was my computer decided to do an update and we didn't want to wait.
True.
Don't take that tone with me, mutant.
take that bass out of your voice, boy.
Oh man.
Never forget.
You girls are adorable together.
Well,
I've been out of work so long. I'm actually just like
Becoming normal.
going back to work after like being like a couple
Yeah.
days on vacation. You're like cool. You know what? I mean, no one really like is super stoked. The people that are super stoked to go back to work, good for y'all. I
Yeah.
like my job. I don't hate it, but I'm just still like, dude, man. Like I've been gone for like over a week.
Yep.
Because like
we're talking about
Thursday,
there. It's going to be weird to go back to work tomorrow.
yeah. Well, and it's funny because I work in such a cool place. I know kind of where my coolant leak is on my truck. I was texting my boss and was like, "Yeah, man, like I couldn't see very well because if anyone's ever worked on cars, being in daylight with a crappy flashlight is the hardest thing to see under the hood." Like even underneath the truck, like the way daylight works, it's really weird. So I was like, I need to be in the shop so I can see right where I think it is to make sure that's where it's at. And my boss was like, yeah, it's cool, man. First thing in the morning, so tomorrow I'm gonna work on my own personal truck right when I get to work with my boss. Like he was like, yeah, we'll get that knocked out. Don't worry.
I was actually verifying the weight of the crane up at the shop this week because I said, I want to pull the boat and put Gator Glide on the bottom and redo the trailer bunks.
Oh, dude, we pick up asphalt papers with
No,
that crane.
it's a 12-ton thing. My boat does not weigh a ton. Like we're gonna sling that thing up and get it done.
Yeah, I told you that. Like verifying that like your boat weighs absolutely nowhere close to the things we pick up on a normal basis.
Zero.
I pick up the rear end of 18-wheelers with that thing like it's nothing.
That's awesome.
Pretty cool.
Well, Abe's too busy tying flies and not paying attention.
That's not true at all. I'm paying
Jared,
attention.
Go.
do you sell CV boots?
No.
Damn. CV shaps?
No.
Ooh. Well,
Again, you're
That 14
What?
bolt rear end that you got on the back of that thing, I probably got something for it.
I'm just excited for fishing.
I like that.
Fishing time.
Oh, I will say, with everything frozen, Denton Creek was full of ducks. Like driving over the 377 bridge, I saw 4 or 5 dozen just lined up on the creek right there.
So
Oh yeah.
the library down the street, there's, you used to live up in this area, Austin, there's like
Yep.
this big river creek thing that runs through all the neighborhoods. That thing was frozen almost completely solid. And there was one pocket and it was just piled with ducks. And I was just so furious the whole time looking at it.
Yep.
Like, where
I think
was this?
this is-
Like, why couldn't we got this like a month
Dude,
ago?
this is why our duck season should go through all of February.
I had this conversation. I think I'm okay with it starting a month later and extending it, like going
Absolutely.
a month later.
Absolutely.
Well,
Yeah, it was bad.
weather patterns have changed through the years, anyways, and they've obviously have changed enough to where that would be an acceptable thing.
But
I mean, what's the difference,
these,
really?
These federal biologists look at it and they think otherwise, and it's BS.
Yeah,
It's
I
effing
don't care what
S.
they think.
The
Yeah.
ones
What
that
do they
call
have a
shots.
degree to know what's right?
Yeah. Tell you what they haven't seen, the entire internet.
Yeah, which you
Not
did
like my buddy
in
Abe
Cancun
Bowman.
with Ted Cruz doing
Ted
yayo.
ball game was hanging out.
Dude, I would have been in Cancun doing Jaeger bombs with old Teddy. I ain't scared.
Oh,
I said
Okay.
yay. I was
I
talking
know
about
what
yayo
you
off the
said.
Circle's
I
Heine.
know what you said. I said Jaeger bombs.
Absolutely. I mean, totally. I'm excited for for the old white bass run. I'm gonna try to get me a bunch of fish this year.
Peesh.
Yeah, and it was me and Jesse Griffiths were kind of messaging during all this. I was kind of like, anything we can do? Like, I guess if I go shoot some pigs, does that help anything? Like, man, anything? He said, no, dude, it's just a water issue right now, this and that. And I said, what? And white bass we're running. He said, yeah, we're. So it'll warm back up quick.
And it
Yeah,
was
it's already
70 degrees.
t-shirt weather.
So yeah, white bass, some jug fishing.
Dude, I'm excited.
I
about
ordered
it.
a new fish scale today, Jared. That one you've been telling me went on sale on Amazon. Got me a scale so I can weigh these cats because I'm gonna catch some catfish, boys. We're gonna have some mad fish fries.
Do it.
So we're not
Do
going
it.
to fish this weekend, and I am lay sad.
Do it.
Have you seen any more pictures of pigs coming back yet? Or
I'll look right
you said
now.
that one. Only that
Yeah,
one?
they were on the move again last night. Let's look here. Let's take a look. See.
Rabbit Zonker?
Yeah.
No, that's a whisker doodad.
Rabbit zonker
Whisker don't.
with rabbit zonker.
Or that
juggler.
whistle stick.
The whistle stick with a
I'm a big fan of these
dippity doo dah
jugglers.
trailer.
It's my favorite
Squirrel
type.
nut.
That
Finisher.
one's yeah,
with an
that
eye
one's the
bead.
howling monkey.
I did see a tiger and a monkey in a cage the size of smaller than Austin's upstairs area getting off the boat. It was insane.
Did you do anything? Did you go pet them and say
No, I
sorry,
didn't pet
y'all?
them. That fucker was just the
You
cage
sing a-
itself looked like it
You
was.
sing a Joe Exotic song to him?
Yeah.
I saw a tiger, and a tiger saw a man, or something to that effect.
I don't even remember. Hard to believe that was a year ago that our
Oh
nation
my
fell in love with Joe Exotic. And I'll tell you,
And
it's
then
the one thing that Donald Trump messed up. He should have pardoned old Joe.
Should he? Should he?
Probably not.
No, probably not.
You mean a gay meth addict who
Ugh.
tried to kill somebody?
Ugh. Yeah.
God, this is talking about. Are you describing your wet dream right now, Abe?
All right. Well, I've got to go put a wild pig ham in a brine because I finally got my pink salt #1 in today after a week of ordering it. Stupid snow.
Stupid snow.
Yeah.
Well,
I did make
mentioned
5
Gordon-
more pounds of sauerkraut, made my elk tongue. I did so much cooking this week.
James made
all-
elk ossobuco today, and he
Oh,
sent
he
me
did.
pictures.
Yeah, he just sent me pictures while we were doing this. I'm going to have to
said-
text him back once we get off the phone.
He said it was effing amazing. We dug out the bone marrow and put it on a toast.
As he should have.
Dude, it looks delicious.
When are you going to start cooking and stop Uber eating?
I don't know. I'm super excited about our Austin Yells at His cooking show that's coming out soon.
I'm going to be nice.
Why?
I
That's-
also I want to do Jaeger schnitzel. Do we have a recipe for Jaeger schnitzel?
we can find one.
Just make it up.
Make that shits up.
Google it.
Google it.
I mean, it's just
Google
it's
it.
panko. It's a pork tender pork cut.
Chicken fried
cutlet.
steak.
Hammered
Yeah,
thin.
pork cutlet in panko. I mean,
I'm not worried. I'm not worried about the breading process and all that. Jaeger schnitzel. It's the
The sauce.
mushroom gravy sauce
Oh.
that makes Jaeger schnitzel.
go buy you a packet of brown gravy mix, get some onions after it, and get some mushrooms after it.
I don't know if you guys saw the one rule is Austin cannot step in.
Oh, that's going to be, for me, mind-meltingly difficult.
You can do whatever you want, but
Austin
Austin
has
cannot
never-
touch anything.
Austin,
If you've ever seen
Just
Hell's
like my
Kitchen,
wa-
that's what I expect this to be like. It's Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
That's
It's
what Abe
fucking raw.
Austin, just like my wife, has never let me finish a meal by myself. Like
I've never
cooking.
been around you when you cooked a meal.
That's not true. Remember Brady's birthday when we were doing the hot dogs and you took over the grill?
No.
No. I can attest.
You literally walked up and like we were talking. I was sitting there drinking beer. I put the hot dogs on. You're sitting there like, yep. And you're like looking at the grill. And you look at me and you open it up and look at the hot dogs. You take the tongs out of my hands and flip them.
It's ridiculous.
I like it. I like
Yeah,
to touch food with tongs.
So make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel if you're not already. See some of our quality content that is up there, as we will have some cooking shows coming out soon because we're bored in the off season.
Yeah.
It's never off season.
Right.
This is about as close to the off season as we get
Yeah.
right now.
I got to pee.
Cute.
Bye, guys.
Let's
All right,
wrap this up.
Thanks for listening, guys. Make sure you're subscribing to us on social media. Make sure you like and subscribe to the podcast. Check us out at Stormwater Creek. We appreciate it.
Hope everybody's
Have a
safe
good day.
as
Stay safe.
can be. Hope everybody is in as good a repair as can be.
Exactly.
Let us know if there's anything we can do, I guess. As small of an offer as that is.
Yeah.
Chat us up.
All right.
Stormwater Creek. Bye. everybody.
Hi, everybody.